Hello everyone, this is Diane. I am going to flip through these two journals and they will be in the shop when you see the video. And before I get into those, let me tell you to keep your eyes open for upcoming, very soon, things in the shop. I'm almost done with this one. I just have some finishing touches to do on that one. And I am going to be putting this bundle of just ephemera goodies. I was packing up these bundles to go with the journals, and I thought, well, why don't I just pull some extras out and make a bigger bundle to just put in my shop without a journal. So I'll have this in my shop soon, and also I'm going to be going through my box of pre-made ephemera, the stuff that I made ahead of time, and I used a lot of it in these journals, but not nearly enough. So I'm going to go through that and pull some out and put that in my shop too. So there'll be 2 bonus bundles in my shop, maybe at the same time that I list that other journal. I'm not sure yet. Just keep watching. So this one is, now these are both Eclectic journals that I made so that I could use up some pages that I had and papers and this ephemera. So they're kind of like stash busters. This one was made with a vintage Mechanics Illustrated How to Do It encyclopedia book cover. Look at that cool cover. And I had this strap, this elastic strap. I don't think it was actually a Smash Book brand, but that's what it was similar to. And I used the Bindalol on it. I have to tell you though that these wires are thicker than the ones I used to get. They're heavier gauge, and I have a harder time getting them to punch or to press. So to close is what I'm trying to say. So this card on the back, it's a scrap cardstock page. I just have to slide it back onto these prongs when it comes loose, and I apologize for that. I've tried to tighten it up, and so this isn't going to be the price it would normally be if that worked properly, but let's just get into it. I used a lot of ephemera that I had made already. This was made for me, I think. It's from a business envelope. I put this vintage book plate on it, and then this is a digital envelope that I actually made. I mean, I had this envelope and I made a copy of it, and I just turned it into a journaling sheet. And this was punched, trying out a punch that I had, and I just left it there because it's fun and eclectic. This is wallpaper, and I added some clusters from my stash. This is a page that was already decorated. So I had some pages in my stash that were punched out because I had made a journal a long time ago, and then I took it apart more recently, and I wanted to use these pages. So I just made a new journal for them, and that's a digital. And that's a digital. Here is a street map from a city map of St. Clair Shores in Macomb County, Michigan. And this is a digital pocket that I had in my stash, and this I made. And I put in a lot of tags and cards that I made previously. This is a vintage 1934 school picture. And Milton Bradley card, game money. This is from this book. And I had this shape in my stash. I think this was already on it. Oh, this was the page that was already made in my stash, the one I took out of a book. And this, I think, was in it. Treasure the moment, and I did a crumpled tag. And then on the back, I put these 4 little sticky notes that came in this shape. They were all individual, but I glued them together. It's puzzle pieces. Isn't that cute? This is Notes for Home. Just a page to write on, and I stapled greeting card or a playing card on there. This is from the 1930s, from the Bradford County Courthouse. And this is a really fun page from a art instruction book about cartooning. And this was a page from a penmanship book. It's actually a cover from a penmanship book. This is just orange cardstock. I had this little cluster made. This is attached. I was trying to pull it out. It's not a tag. Well, it is, but it's attached. So I had made this, and I put it on as a tuck spot and put a digital in there. This was one of the pages that was previously made, and it's an acetate page with a couple of pink strips. And I wanted to leave this plain so it would be pretty through there, and then if you flip that over you get the orange to it. So I didn't add extra embellishments to those pages, but I did tuck this page in and this 1956 memo book page or diary page. This is a digital. I just added a couple strips and I stamped that with the Tim Holtz stamp and a die. This page is for a substitute teacher to leave a report behind for the regular teacher, and this is a flashcard with another cluster. This is a dictionary page. Here is a fun vintage advertisement of a lady using her Cheer laundry detergent, and this is a piece that came with that ad. Cheer, the one and only Blue Magic Suds. Giant tag to write on. A map page, and I added this part of a masterboard to be a pocket, and then I had this in my stash, just a book illustration glued to cardstock, and it's the Curly Locks nursery rhyme about sitting on a cushion and eating strawberries and cream. This was part of the book that I took apart, just this butterfly paper with a to-do list glued to it. And I had these Tim Holtz elements on it, and I tucked a journaling card in there. Here is a crossword page, and I put a tab on it. This is a fun illustration from a vintage yearbook from the 40s or 50s. So they took the students' faces, fussy cut them, and drew little cartoon bodies and had little quotes. He says, "I wonder why all the squirrels are following me." And you get 2 sides of it. Here is a cardstock page. This was a page that would have been in a binder from one of the scrapbook companies. Things I want to learn more about and questions I wish I had the answers to. And then another planner page. It just says plans for the week. And here's another tuck spot that was in my stash. That adorable little boy. And this is a copy that I made of an antique card. This was also a page that was in this journal that I took apart. It's a book page. Looks like it has poems and some little brown sacks and some tags that I stamped on. And this was also in the original journal. Washi tape here. Quotes to remember and what I am into right now. Here are a couple of stamped images. This is a divider page. You can see where the reinforcement holes were. It was for a notebook. But I stamped this on paper that got sprayed with color, and then I stamped her and cut her out. All of these stamp pieces were already in my stash. So we've got two stamp pieces here and a die cut, which I embossed with black embossing powder and added this Tim Holtz gauge. It's just a chipboard piece and a couple of brads with numbers. Now these yearbook strips, I think I may have said that, I may have sounded like I made them because I kind of forgot, but as I was gluing this together, I thought I did not make this. I got this in a Happy Mail. These are all individual little pictures cut from yearbooks, and they were just glued together onto a little strip, and then I added them to this colorful strip. Makes a great belly band. This is a stamped journal spot on some splattered and dyed paper and a vintage appointment book page. I just put this paper clip on to keep them from sliding out. So this page is actually a page from National Geographic, and there's some ladies from Czechoslovakia. I covered up the text with some collaging, and there's lines there to write on. This is the back of this, what are they called? Hummel calendar. I love that. He is so sweet. This is a digital. I also pulled out the digitals that I have printed and not used yet, and so I used a few of them in each of these journals. This is from a vintage magazine, and it's a little tuck spot, and I put, as I said, some journaling cards and tags that I had already made. This page is from this book. This was in this original journal, so it's got washi tape and a stamp and a little piece cut from scrapbook paper, I think that is. More orange cardstock and a music flash card. This is a fun page that was in the original journal. It's a folder, and there's a pocket here, and this is a card from Prima Packaging for vintage trinkets. I didn't do anything to it. You could glue paper on the back to write on or glue a picture there, and this tag was in it. And I just have a digital of Viewmaster reels. This is a strip of scrapbook paper, and then I had this corrugated strip of pink cardstock and I edge punched it. This is from a sewing instruction book, and this is a digital page, and this is cardstock, a digital, and another digital pocket that looks like a basket. And I made this with a pattern from Work Basket magazine, and I have this postcard and I made copies of it. I didn't erase the vendor's pencil marking, her code, and $1. I paid $1 for the postcard. So that's on there because I didn't erase that from my original. This is another piece of that dictionary page, and I put a note paper on there for you to write on. And then at the back, I didn't count the pages. There was either like 40, 41 pages right around there. The back has this digital, glued to coffee dyed paper. And a time card that I glued these stamped images on. These are also, I think these were colored with those distress spritz sprays that Jeannie sent me. I think that's what they were. And then I just had this notebook paper. I've had it for a long time with these stamped images on it. So I decided to put it in here. And this is a die cut pocket, and I inserted a few little things into these, well, just a couple little things into the pockets. These are both digitals. And I added some postage stamps to decorate that. And I have to add, maybe I'll put it on here, my signature. So you have to flip the pages back toward the back. Because of the seam being here, you can't fold the cover over. See, every time I close it, then those few right there, and I keep trying to pinch those closed, and I can't pinch them anymore closed. It might just be that I have too many pages in it. So you might have to reinsert the last 2 pages, or at least the last one, and maybe taking out a couple of pages would help, but I don't want to take them out. I'll let you do that if you want to do that. But other than that, it's a great, fun book with lots of stuff in it that you can use. Let me just show you. I'm not going to show everything because there's a lot in here, but just to give you an idea of the kinds of things. There are images cut from books, the children's books mostly. And more images cut from books. A can label, game money or play money, several different ones, and some game cards. This is dry cleaner cards. An old 1960s maybe school picture. Some little doilies, green stamps, those price stickers, some labels. Those are label stickers. A bunch of tickets, a receipt, some stamped images from my stash. Lots of stamped things. More tickets. Those are the dry cleaner ones. More stamped images. This little note paper, a couple of little tags, lottery ticket, and some postage stamps. So all of the journals get a similar pack. All the same sorts of things. I was going to put less in this journals pack because it is a smaller journal and it's already full. But I thought, no, I have so much stuff, I might as well just give them all a whole bunch. And you can use those in other journals too. So now let's take a look at this one. Here's the pack that comes with it. This one has 3 signatures sewn in with 5-hole pamphlet stitch. And it's so beautiful. I love the colors on this. And I have it just held closed with this pink elastic. And this is where I sewed it together. And I sewed this little applique to hide that seam. So that's just very easy, just pop it on and off. Also, instead of putting the eyelet in there, where are all the strings? Okay. I put it on a binder clip. I'm just trying to figure out why the strings seem upside down. But we have 6 strands with fun things on them, different color beads. So many colors to work with here. These little foam ones match the tealish color. Scrabble tile, a letter tile. This little rummy cub tile from a game, a little game piece, and this little memory card. So we can take that right off and it won't bother us while we flip through. I did put some corners, metal corners, on these corners and it looks really nice, but I didn't put anything on the edges. I decided I just don't want to cover any more of that cover because it's so cool. I just didn't want to add anything to it. So the book is called Shoes and Chips and Sealing Wax. And I didn't put a pocket on the front because there are so many pockets inside. Look how fat that book is. It's pretty fat. And it's got a flexible file folder, so makes for a nice squishy spine. So that's a digital. This is scrapbook paper. And some of these pages are the ones that I sewed together, just kind of grabbing papers and sewing them together to create a journal that I made recently, and I had extras of the sewn together pages. So that's what some of these pages are. Someone sent me these clusters with the bright colors and the black stitching, so I included a few of those. This is paper. These are all both papers that were under papers for when I was creating, so they've got color on them, and I added this color rickrack. So all of these ephemera pieces were in my ready-made box, things I had made previously. There's a 1950 calendar page. This is a marching band music sheet with a cluster that I made, or an embellishment that I made. This is a page from a catalog that kids could choose the prize that they earned by selling something. They have so many points or whatever, so much money to spend in the catalog. So that's what this catalog is. It's really cool. This is a pocket I made with a kid's illustration, a digital, and just a tag, copy dyed tag that I stamped on. I did add some tabs at different points throughout the book. And I had some pages that were sewn into little booklets that I got when I purchased a couple of journals and from Elise's Attic. So I cut those booklets apart and I used some of those pages in these journals. This is one that I had prepared for a different journal. Look at that pretty lace trim. And I put is that a tuck? Well, not really. That's just a scrapbook paper that I edge punched. And this was a digital that I had printed with journal lines on it. I added that little scrap of fringe that I had. This was in my stash. A cute little pocket made with a Dick and Jane illustration and a real orange juice bottle cap. I tucked in this pocket that was in this tag, but it's a pocket. It was in my stash, and I just added these little pieces and a ticket. These are all digitals there, but that's a real ticket. And this is from Mrs. Coggs. It is her Latin set. So it has the Latin phrase and then the English translation. There has been no great wisdom without an element of madness. I don't know if that's true. Here's a map page and a Kismet score sheet. And I had this just hanging around in my stash. I had purchased a piece of decorator fabric that's kind of chenille or plush-like. It had ribbed plush on it, I remember. And it had this little leather piece attached to it. It says 1 1/4 yards. And I thought this would be a good place to use that finally. Some stamped pieces here. So the stamped pieces were already stamped and in my collection, and they were cut out, so I just glued them down. I didn't actually get out any stamps or inks to make these. I put 2 little pockets on this page these are all digitals tucked in. This is vintage gift wrap though on the pockets. There's another little tuck spot. There's a Project Life card and another one of those embellishments that was sent to me in a Happy Mail. Put a fabric flip on there. So I did use up almost all of my fabric flips. I might have 1 or 2 left. And I used some clusters. But I have a whole bunch of clusters because I had some already. And Carrie from the Paper Monkey, she sent me a lot of them, and I love the ones that she made. This is just a scrap from a master board, and there was this tiny little pocket here left from when I sewed pages together. Here's a second signature with a loaded questions game sheet, and I had added this embellishment. This is a small page. This was one that I got in the stuff with the journal that I bought. So I covered up this side of this page with scrapbook paper and this pocket that I had made, and then I tucked in this little tag. She's so cute. I love this. She's a digital. I have to glue this pocket because it came loose here, and I don't want to forget it. I'm just going to leave her right there, and if I forget to go back and put her in the pocket, if you buy this journal, you'll know that's where she belongs. Here's a 1957 calendar page. Another Kismet score sheet, and I put a ruffle scrap on it. Another cartoon drawing book page. This was an envelope that I either made or received in a Happy Mail. I don't remember now. But I put a couple of index cards inside it. This might have been with the collection of things that came with that journal, with those journals that I bought. So this was with that collection, and so was, no, this wasn't. This is a Jeopardy game. It was like the answer book for the Jeopardy game. This was a page that I had prepared for a journal that it didn't go into. So it's just these little strips that I treat as a lattice for weaving the tags in and out. I put them the opposite of each other. This was made with, oh, never mind, it's a digital. Thought I made it with a vintage ledger. And here we have a fabric pocket that was in my stash, and this little stamped dress was in my stash, and this was in my stash, just a coffee dyed scrap with some stamping on it, and this tag. All I had to do was add this little piece of lace to be a tab. This was made with a master board. These two pieces that I stamped, they were made with pieces of file folder. And these are digitals that I sewed to coffee dyed paper. This pocket was, I was going to say this pocket was in my stash, but this whole page was. This was a page that didn't, oh, it was the back of this one. So this pocket was already attached, and it's got these cute little vintage kids cards on it. And that's a vintage trim right there. And I had made this envelope out of a vintage ledger paper, and I had added, this was already made. I had added these stamped pieces and this die cut flower. It's got a couple layers and a brad. And I put a digital card inside it. And you have to be careful with this because it is a vintage ledger, so it would tear easily. This is just a vintage while you were out message sheet. Clip to the page. And this is a cluster that I had made a long time ago with some ribbon and a crocheted motif, a little paper flower, and a button. This little banner was in my stash. I had made that out of scraps, and there is a digital there. I added a merchandise tag as a tab, and this was the back side of the little page that had the duck on it. and this was a CD envelope. So I put in this little digital card that you can see her through it, and I added a little piece of fabric so you can pull it out easily. This is a Vintage Railway Express Agency sticker label. And then the last signature, forfeit move if you do not wish to change, it says. And this wasn't on this page. This was on the page because this was created for a different journal that didn't get used, and I added a digital card in there. And I just put the paper clip there to keep it from tipping because that's not a deep pocket. You could tuck something in there if you wanted to also. So this is a similar kind of page with the wildlife, and then there will be a CD pocket on the other side. And I covered this text page with a note paper and a wide Amity Bloom washi tape. This page I had in my stash that I made. So this is a stamped cardstock piece. It's got some script stamped on it, and then I added this die cut piece. This is a digital, and this is a stamped file folder. Cute little coloring book page. It was just a small coloring book that I got at a flea market. There's a digital that I had printed, and this came off of a telephone, an address book, I think. You can see where it was bound with the plastic comb binding. I just sewed some fabric to the top, made it a pocket. There's a tag that I made, and I added this cluster to that paper. This was part of one of the booklets that I got with the journals. I had this fabric pocket in my stash, and I added this cute little stamped deer. Another tag and a journaling card, digital. That's just a piece of, I'm not sure if it's tea bag paper. It's what it kind of feels like, tea bag paper. And this tag, and these both came, and this came with the journal that I ordered. And I added a coffee dyed index card with some stamps on it as a tab. Stamped pieces. This was a page that I had made and didn't use. It's got this little pocket on it. It's really pretty. A digital and a stamped card. This is a dictionary page with printing on it that I got with the journal that I ordered. I added that stamped circle. And a tag that I made with a vintage book on crochet edging, and this from a sewing book. Stamped piece there. Now this had 2 pages stuck together, plus there was the third page, the other page that's on the other side. But she had them put together with this dark brown, looks like masking tape, but it's dark. So you have a couple of pages you can decorate, add papers to, add photos to. Here's the CD envelope with that lady in it and fabric tab. And the last pocket is another fabric pocket with a little flannel banner on it. I've had this in my stash for a long time. These are all pieces from Vintage Patterns, and I stamped this little bit. It says handmade is best. And here's another digital fashion image with a little piece of embroidered ribbon on it. And instead of adding a pocket to the front or the back, because it's already pretty full, I just added my signature right there. And I think this elastic with the daisy in the middle just really sets off the cover. I'm very happy with that closure. And I'm very happy that I did not detract from this cover by adding fabrics to cover up these raw edges. Those are just vintage raw edges. So this is in my shop when you see this video, and so is, I have to find it, so is this one. So thanks for watching, and hopefully tomorrow I'll have this one in my shop. So stay tuned. I hope you're having a creative day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.